This screencast is going to start with some of the major land battles fought in France during World War I, starting with the Battle of Verdun. Now you could easily take note, based on the dates of the Battle of Verdun, that this was a very long fought battle, nearly 10 months, and the longest battle fought in World War I. The Germans were fighting what's called a war of attrition. This is when you aim to wear out your enemy until they give in or surrender. Verdun was a fortress city in France, and think about what the word fortress means, or the root word in it, fort or fortify. It means it was a very protected city. Okay, with a large wall, you can kind of see that in the aerial shot of the city. So a very fortified town. So it would be very hard for the Germans to take this city, and that is exactly why they wanted to take it, to prove that they could. The Germans would attack the French city for month after month, hoping the French would give in, but they never did. The French are able to hold off the Germans from taking the city, and it's eventually Germany who gives in. They aren't getting anywhere, so they kind of give in. So you could assume that the French are excited about the fact that they didn't allow Verdun to fall, but at the same time, it's not really a huge victory for them either. They haven't gained any land, and they've lost many lives. There are high casualty rates for both sides, so no side really had a strong strategic advantage after this battle. Now, the Battle of the Somme will be fought during the Battle of Verdun. It is actually a British attack. They launch an offensive attack against the Germans at the Somme, which is a river in France. And it's happening at the same time as Verdun because the British are trying to help alleviate some of the pressure off of the French at Verdun and distract the Germans a little bit. But actually, this is considered one of the largest disasters in British military history. The British have very, very heavy casualties, losing nearly 1/3 of their men on the very first day of battle, which is actually still today a one-day record. And they are able to push the Germans back, several miles, but nothing that justifies the length that they had to go in those several months of fighting and losing so many lives. So not a huge victory, once again, just because of the actual logistics of it all. I want to talk briefly just about the war at sea and what's kind of going on in the sea to cause some conflict between the different countries at war. And this is actually going to be the aspect of the war that gets the United States involved. So first off, we have England or Britain leading blockades. They are successfully blockading German ports, completely cutting off Germany's trade. There's enough, the British Navy is large enough to basically completely create a barrier, not letting anything go in and out of a German port city. Now, much as a response to that, Germany has submarines or U-boats all over the Atlantic Ocean. And they are engaging in what is called unrestricted submarine warfare. Basically, they are attacking any ally ship that they find, whether it is a civilian ship, a military ship. In most cases, they are not giving warning prior to their attack. And the last thing I want to talk about today is just one of the greatest unfortunate situations, the most unfortunate situations in terms of unrestricted submarine warfare, and what really got Americans kind of shaken. A German submarine is going to attack a British cruise ship called the Lusitania. And the nature of a cruise ship, is it's transporting passengers, civilians. This particular ship was going from New York City to England. Even though it's a British liner, you can imagine that because it's, calling out of New York City, there are many, many Americans on board. And in fact, over 100 Americans die in the attack. And this is going to be one of the greatest events to turn American public opinion against the Germans. You know, until this point, Americans really weren't as interested in World War I, but the sinking of the Lusitania really makes Americans feel they should join up with England and declare war on Germany. But the U.S. isn't ready just yet. There's going to be a few more things that are going to occur before the U.S. would get involved. The only other thing I will add about the Lusitania is, come to find out, it was transporting weapons to England. And this is actually against, like, the laws of the sea, if there are any such things. You weren't supposed to transport weapons on a, like, passenger liner. And America's probably trying to, like, sneak over weapons under the guise of a civilian ship to transport to England to let them use in the war. Like, we're selling them weapons. But that's not really fair to all the American citizens they put at risk by doing this. And so Germany might have gotten knowledge of these weapons being transported, which could be why they sunk the ship in the first place. Okay, we'll talk about the final straw for America to enter the war in class tomorrow. Please write down any questions you have, as I hope to wrap up Chapter 15 in class tomorrow. I hope you'll have a great day.